your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope your weekend was a good one. Ready to get your week off to a good start. Jake's at the wheel, as always, keeping things on track. A lot going on over the weekend on the national level, at least, and as far as basketball, a lot of basketball action over the weekend. A lot of Indiana basketball recruits on campus playing in the Archie Miller team camp. We'll talk about that. Anthony Leal, Christian Lander, Caleb Furst, Luke Goody, all in action, even some others. As we saw them play at Assembly Hall and Cook Hall. Stu Jackson from Rivals is on today. We'll talk with Stu about what he saw, and I was there as well. Anthony Leo looking just pretty solid. Pretty solid as a ball player. Christian Lander, of course. Wow. I can't believe he's only going to be a junior in high school. That's all I can say. Wow. He could play in college right now. Not that he doesn't need to improve, make some better decisions with the basketball, but that comes with time and age. But as far as physically, dude can play right now. He's very quick. He's very quick. Caleb Furst is going to only get stronger. He's a big kid. Luke Goody didn't have a great day, but you can get a pretty good glimpse. He's probably a pretty good shooter most of the time. He's got a great form. He reminds me of Pat Graham as far as physically. He's 6'5". Got a shot just like Pat Graham. Well, I wouldn't say just like, or he'd be averaging 32 points a game in high school. The National NBA Players Association Top 100 Camp was also going on over the weekend. One of IU's top targets, Dawson Garcia. He has an IU offer. He played pretty well. He averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds, was 7 of 19 from the arc. Big 6'10" dude, man. Getting it done in a lot of ways. But we saw a lot of those Indiana kids on Saturday. Solid kids. Solid players. No superstars, although Christian Lander, he's definitely miles ahead. Well, I shouldn't say miles, but man, again, I can't believe he's only going to be a junior in high school. This dude's got 2 more years of high school. Wow. He's going to be very, very, very highly rated. Well, he already is. I mean, he's in the top 15 as it is right now. He may end up being a top 5. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's going to be a superstar coming out of high school. There's no doubt. How about the LA Lakers? They finally get the trade done to pull in Anthony Davis. Well, I should have had you pull that audio, Jake. LeVar Ball.
Never lost.
His son was one to get traded. Monster trade. includes 3 first-round draft picks for New Orleans. You talk about building the future. I think it's a pretty good trade on their part. Yeah. They can make it real good with what they do with these draft picks, but LeVar Ball's thrown the curse on the Lakers. They'll never win another championship. Ever. Guaranteed. So there's that. But that was it's been a tumultuous year for the Lakers. They've been through a lot. It's kind of funny. World Cup's going on the women's side as they win 3-0 over Chile. That's on the heels of a 13-0 pasting of Thailand. So they're pretty good. Did you happen to see the College World Series last night? Mississippi State. They're trailing 4-0. Bottom of the ninth. This is why you just never quit. They go to the end of the bottom of the ninth, down 4-0. They score a couple runs. Then there's a play that I think runners must have been in first and second. There's a hit to third. Auburn's third baseman scoops it up and takes a couple hops before throwing to third base. But the funny thing is, the reason he did that was to let the runner that was going from second to third clear him before he threw the ball. Instead of making it an easy tag there, and I think it messed with his head because he makes a couple of hops and then uncorks one and throws it too high over the first baseman's head, allowing the tying run to score. That guy that he let go by, instead of tagging him, goes on to score because of that error. Then there's another hit to third that ends up being an infield single to load the bases. And then that follows up just a chopper right up the middle that goes off the pitcher's glove, allowing the winning run to come in. Crazy finish. They were down 4-0 in the bottom of the ninth. I feel bad for the third baseman, Auburn's third baseman, but go back and watch the video. It's just a grounder to the third base, and it's like he sees the runner coming, and he wants to let him go by first before he throws the ball, so he kind of hops, and is literally within 2 feet as he goes right in front of him, and then he throws the ball too high. It was, you talk about a heartbreaking loss, and that would have been the third out. That was the third out for Auburn, or it would have been. And they win the game, and it's over. Oh my gosh. Chris Lamona's former IU coaches Mississippi State. But he's got to be feeling lucky. Unbelievable finish. It was crazy. Crazy, man. U.S. Open happened over the weekend. I did not win. Jake did not win. But Gary Woodland won. All he needed was a bogey on the 18th. Drains a big birdie putt. He also drains about $2.25 million into his bank account. Not a bad haul.
Take some of that.
I'll take a little bit. Be happy, man. Be very happy. That'd be nice. That's a hit right there. That's a lifetime hit for me. Of course, it's probably a lifetime hit for Ed Dude. Not financially as much as what it will be financially from now on. Because now he's the U.S. Open champion. Do you know he's done something that Phil Mickelson has never done? Win a U.S. Open title. I wasn't cracking on Phil. That's one of the.
Just a weird stat.
Yeah, he did not, has never won it. I think it was the U.S. Open, not the PGA, that he was, I think, leading one year, coming down 18th, and he hits a tent. One of the tents are off the side that has a group or something in it. Who knows?
Beer tent.
Could have been a beer tent. Hit the beer tent. That sounds better. He hit a beer tent.
That's a 5-stroke penalty, isn't it? Hitting the beer tent.
It's a 2-cup minimum. 2-cup minimum. Man, I hope your weekend was good. Kind of a quiet period now as we had the basketball team camps the last couple of weekends going on. There'll still be a lot of recruiting going on, though, before they get to July. But, man, what a great opportunity those team camps are to get players out into your facilities. I mean, they get to play in Assembly Hall. They get to play in Cook Hall. Everything is open. I walked into the coaches' offices for the first time. This is the first time I'd ever been in the coaches' offices. They were wide open. Everything was wide open for everyone to see, and all the IU coaches were there. There was a throng of media people there. Stu Jackson from Rivals. He'll be with us. John Sauber from Rivals. The guys from Peegs. Myself, Kevin Brockway. Certainly a good chance to see a lot of guys play. You felt bad for Luke Goody. You could tell, though, he's a good player. He just didn't have his shot just wasn't on. But he's got too pretty of a stroke to not shoot the ball well. But I'll tell you, for a young guy and for a big guy who might get a little bigger, I think he's like 6'5" right now. He plays the point. He ran the point. Not a bad thing. He's got some range. He's rangy, man. He's got a couple more years. These guys, it's unbelievable, some of them that still have a couple years left. All those guys. Christian Lander, Caleb Furst, Luke Goody, Anthony Leal. No, not Anthony Leal. What am I saying? He's in the 2020 class. A lot of offers out there. Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, Matt Cross, DJ Stewart, RJ Davis, Caleb Love. Hassan Diarra, I believe, also was playing in the NBA Players Association Top 100 camp. That was going on in Virginia. I think that was in Charlottesville, Virginia. I said earlier, Dawson Garcia. And he holds an IU offer, but he was one of the top players in that, averaging 12 points, 8 rebounds, and was 7 of 19 from behind the arc. Hey, we've got plenty more to get to on the program today. Stu Jackson from Rivals joins us. We're going to talk about the play that went Archie Miller team camps on the IU campus. Draft day is coming up on Thursday. Where's Romeo going to end up? Plenty to talk about. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Roll, 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 I feel my soul. I got a beef, I got a choo-choo. Hong Kong, Kong, Kadanta, Asia, Kona, Nature, Babaloo.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. And as promised, a good friend of the show, joined Dustin DePierick from The Athletic. Dustin, how's it going, brother?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me again.
Appreciate it, always having you on. How's your summer gone so far? It's been not a lot to do so far, but there's been some things happening. The All-Star Games have come and gone. Huber's has come and gone. A little bit of happenings in the sports world, but not a lot.
Yeah, locally, I mean, it's been just kind of quiet, especially on the Indiana front. Obviously they went after a couple of guys, trying to get another piece in that 2019 class. Didn't quite get it. Obviously got Joey Brunk there early on to get a graduate transfer, which I think was really important. I think that was a really key addition. They needed to have somebody else that could play the 5 with Juwan Morgan moving on. There had to be somebody else to shore that up that could, kind of split the position with Deron Davis. I don't know, as healthy as Deron is, it was still important to, I think, get somebody else in there so that you could split that spot and you're not asking Deron to suddenly play 30 minutes when he's never done anything like that before. So that was some big news, but after that it just kind of quieted down and you didn't hear very much from Archie. He's really been quiet, I think. In general, there hasn't been a lot happening, but it seems like he's also just made a point not really to talk to a whole bunch of people, so you haven't seen a bunch of news breaking when it's come to Indiana. Again, you got to see a couple of those guys at the All-Star Game. They're bringing in with Trace Jackson Davis and Armand Franklin. But not a ton of other personnel moves, and everything else has kind of stayed the same. You had a couple guys transfer early on, but I think a lot of people thought there would be more, and there weren't. So they're keeping a lot of this core together mostly. There isn't going to be a big, huge overhaul. I guess they're not in a position to get one because they're having a hard time, getting talent. So, it's been quiet. It's just been it's been a little bit stay the course. I mean, Indiana fans might want something other than that right now, but that's kind of what they're going to have to go with is this group that they got and hope that, some guys make some big leaps and also these freshmen are able to make an impact quickly.
Yeah, not that I'm an expert in recruiting because I'm not, but it almost seems like Archie's a year behind doing what he's doing right now, and there's a big focus on a lot of Indiana players as far as high school players and whatnot. And with these 2 open scholarships, I know that wasn't the plan, and he talked about having roster flexibility at Huber's and all that, which is nice, but that wasn't the plan going into next season, there's no doubt. And having missed on all those guys is definitely going to put them in a kind of like IU football was for a while at quarterback. They were off a cycle in the recruiting, and sometimes you miss these 2. It can work out for you, but it can also hurt you.
Yeah, no, I mean, you never know how that's going to break. Obviously it was good that they had one available that they could, take Brunk, but I don't think you wanted to have this many available. I think the idea of having one makes sense. I see where he's coming from there. But I don't think they were necessarily in the position where they should not have added more to this group because, you're first off in a situation where you already feel like you lost out on a team that should have been in the tournament. Not that this was a great team they just had, but again, when you've got Romeo Langford and Juwan Morgan on the same team, you feel like that team ought to get in. And when you have that sort of, I don't want to say black mark, but that's on your resume if you're Archie that you didn't get those guys into the tournament. Then you go into this season, you don't necessarily fix all your ills. So if you go through year 3 and if you fail to make the tournament again, and you're going into year 4 having not been there yet, then all of a sudden you're asking a lot from that class. You're going to have a lot of roster flexibility in that class and a lot of opportunity to get guys, but it's not necessarily a great class in the state. There's certainly a couple nice players, but there's nobody in the top 80, and so it's like, okay, like, well, where is the big sea change coming? Where is this group that's going to change the course of Indiana basketball? If you don't have it in yet, when is it coming? Basically, so that I think raises a big question. So, okay, what are you holding onto this roster flexibility for? Where it's not like you've got this big, big time class that's going to come in. It's not like they already have these guys committed or anything like that. So it just if you're an Indiana fan, you're like looking around, just thinking, okay, what's the plan here? When is this going to change? It's not to say that it can't get better. It certainly can. And maybe they can catch a couple breaks with this group, and maybe they'll be better than everybody thinks. But it definitely makes you wonder, okay, what are we saving up for, basically, if not now, when? If you don't need a shooter bad enough on this team to at least get you in the tournament and get better than everybody thinks you are, what are you really waiting for? I think that's a fair question to ask if you're an Indiana fan.
Talking with Dustin DePierick from The Athletic. And to me, next year is a make or break year for him, for Coach Miller. And this
getting behind this recruiting cycle is not helping at all. Not that they don't have talent coming back, they do. You've talked about it. We obviously they've got talent coming back, and they've added some good talent and some good talent from Indiana as far as those that pleases those people that want to see the kids from Indiana play. And he's got two really good ones that really seem team oriented and. Trace Jackson Davis and Armand Franklin both had a successful run during the All-Star Series that just concluded here not too long ago. But you've got to have elite talent to be an elite team, I think.
Yeah, no, and Trace Jackson Davis, I think, gets you there. Not doesn't get you all the way there, but like he at least fulfills that. I don't know, he's not a guy like a Romeo Langford that's going to be a sure thing, one and done. I mean, if he becomes one, that means he accomplished something. That means he's better today than, better at the end of next year than he is right now. Nobody is going to put him on the top of that list next season. I think everybody presumes he's got at least 2 years in him before he's ready to move on. So that kind of helps your cause. He's kind of a piece you can build on a little bit, and he's not necessarily a guy that you look at and say, well, you're on the way out the door. So that obviously helps him. He's at least part of that discussion. And I think Armand Franklin is a really good player. I mean, I don't know if he's elite talent, but he's got the skill set that they've been lacking. I mean, he's a guy that can shoot it. You didn't see a ton of that at the Indiana All-Star game, but I mean, he's got a nice shot, and he's right around 40% as a high school shooter. So you'll take that. He's pretty smart fundamentally. He can hit some shots off the bounce. Smart passer, cares about defense. So he's a guy that helps you out on the perimeter. So they're definitely guys that make you better. There's no question about it. But again, it's not a whole sea change. You got to hope, basically, if you're looking to make a leap, if what you're kind of hoping and praying on is, one, Jerome Hunter gets healthy, and it's hard to tell where, when, and how that's going to happen because, apparently it's not a situation. They won't obviously disclose much about his condition, but it's not a situation where, okay, well, if you watch him running and jumping, then okay, he must be on his way back. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It's obviously a condition that's got to, pass some barriers that aren't just his ability to get up and walk around and do things physically. There's got to be something else involved there, and nobody's willing to tell, the media say publicly what exactly that is. But if you get him, that obviously helps you. That makes a big difference. So, maybe he's a guy that you can rely on to be a go-to scorer or something like that. Maybe that adds some talent. You're certainly hoping that Rob Finney makes a leap, where he'll be healthy, obviously having gone through the concussion last year that really set him back for most of the month of January, and he really didn't seem to be himself until March. You imagine him at 100% and Jerome Hunter at 100%, and all of a sudden things look a little bit better. You throw Trace Jackson Davis in there. Maybe you've got three really good players there. You hope maybe Justin Smith figures it out to some extent. Again, you get Deron Davis and Joey Brunk in the center position. You feel all right about that. Maybe you get something out of Devontae Green. Maybe he calms down a little bit and you just see more of the good Devontae as opposed to the bad Devontae. Maybe all those pieces come together, but I mean that's really banking on a lot of things to go right.
Talking with Dustin DePirick, covers the Indiana Hoosiers for the Athletic. Big news came out yesterday from the NCAA, which not really shocking. But basically 6 schools were put on notice. They didn't name the schools, but you don't have to dig too far to figure those out. The fallout from the FBI corruption trial seems to be now filtering down to the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean the NCAA has basically been waiting on this. Sort of sitting on their hands and saying, not sitting on their hands, that makes it sound like they've been lazy, but it's basically like, okay, I think basically it was a situation where, okay, while this trial is going on, they really couldn't do anything. They had to kind of find out what all was going to come out and then figure out what they could and should do from there, because you don't really want to, do your own investigation when the FBI is doing one. That's a good way to get in trouble. But, so now that they've had the opportunity to take what the FBI got, what that trial produced, and determine on their own what violates their laws, their bylaws. Now they're able to kind of, start to mete out their own punishment. So you're going to start seeing that. Obviously, there's a lot of names. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a lot more than 6. It's not going to be massive. I do think that people thought it was going to be worse than it ended up being, which says a lot, because I think it just speaks for how poorly everybody views or not necessarily how poorly everybody views college basketball, but everybody sort of presumes that everybody's getting paid. And it didn't necessarily prove that, but it certainly showed that a lot of that is going on. And it was just, sort of blatant cases of guys getting money or agents getting involved in the situation, and making sure that players go to certain places. Obviously, you saw a lot of ugly underbelly through all of this in terms of guys, and I think it's kind of surprising that you haven't seen more coaches, either fired or disciplined or anything like that, because a number were implicated, or a number of programs were implicated in some way, where you obviously has to go back to the coach. So you definitely learned a lot that I think a lot of people thought was there. And I think maybe people expected more to come out from this one, but certainly a lot of ugly stuff came out during that trial.
Yeah, as of right now, as far as I know, Rick Pitino was the only one to have lost a job as far as the head coach goes, and but there are other head coaches who have been implicated. Sean Miller, for one, at Arizona, which they were already named to be under investigation. But you also have a case like Will Wade at LSU, who LSU originally suspends him, but then they reinstate him because they basically he refused to meet with them, which was probably smart on his end. It was the old fight it, don't give in to him, but they didn't really have anything. The FBI had it. The NCAA didn't have anything, so they were forced to reinstate him. Now that it's coming back around, they can use this FBI information, but I'm not sure what they end up having, because he never mentions, even though he's caught on a wiretap, he doesn't mention money or amounts or anything like that. So we could see a situation where, who knows, that he's able to escape this, which bodes importantly, because you've got someone like Trenton Watford who just committed to LSU. Where's that going to leave him?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's so many moving pieces to this, and again, it obviously rings a whole bunch of bells when you have a situation where you have a guy who gets in trouble for something like that, and then he goes and gets a 5-star player. So it's like, okay, well, what was going on there? How did that happen? How did that come to pass? And can you trust that was on the up and up? I mean, and who knows? I mean, and who knows when it comes to any of these guys? It sounds like the only person that everybody thinks is clean in college basketball is John Beilein, and now he's out of college basketball. So you don't know what they're going to be able to get to, what's going to be there, what is going to work out as proof, and it does seem like you do have more schools that are willing to fight back when it comes to an NCAA imposition. I mean, I think, definitely there was a couple of cases where, at least from a procedural standpoint, the NCAA seemed to maybe overstepped its bounds within the last 10 years. And since then, more schools are saying, you know what, it makes it easier on me if I don't give in, if I refuse to, have a postseason ban, or I refuse to give up scholarships. If I say, no, I'm going to force you to beat me in some kind of legal proceeding, then it doesn't. Sometimes it works out. You don't have to fire anybody. So
a la North Carolina, which is exactly what North Carolina did. Right.
No, exactly. And they found out. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of that one in particular, but I mean, I think it came back to the idea that if the benefit was technically available to everybody, even if it's a generally sketchy thing, then it's not an extra benefit for an athlete. So it's not necessarily cooking the books for the athletes, it's cooking the books for everybody who took that class. And since it was technically available to everybody, it's not an NCAA violation. So, but even if you've got something sketchy going on at the school, if that sketchy thing is technically available to anybody who enrolls at the University of North Carolina, then it's not an extra benefit for an athlete. So it's not necessarily something you can punish the athletes for, even though they're making a point to take advantage of it more than other people. So that was a generally weird thing. And again, it's just a situation where, like, yeah, maybe, North Carolina should have fallen on its own sword. But they didn't, because they're finding out that that's a good way to get away with stuff, is deciding that you're not just going to let the NCAA do what it wants to do, or do what the NCAA thinks you should do.
Yes, because what they did was that a couple of the people that they wanted to interview, the NCAA, they were no longer employed by the university, fired, let go, whatever you want to say it. The NCAA does not have subpoena power to force them to talk to them. So they didn't have what they needed. They didn't have the power the FBI has, which creates a problem. Sure. How are you going to police when you can't get the things that you need to get? So that's an issue in itself.
Yeah, no, it comes back to the idea of what is the NCAA in the first place. I mean, I think they've always been this sort of odd organization in terms of what we think of and what American institutions should have is again, like, should you start? I mean, in a certain way, it's like, okay, like, do you even want to think about the idea of giving non-governmental institutions subpoena power? Like, at a certain point, like, when are you giving these things too much power? And again, like, so they come off as toothless, and I think fans especially get annoyed at the idea of, well, my school got in trouble and yours didn't, but your school did the same thing that my school did. It just didn't get caught, and that's an annoying thing if you're a fan. But at the end of the day, do you want to start giving the NCAA subpoena power? Is that something that you really think makes, like, that's a slippery slope? Because, okay, well, who gets it next? Who else gets involved? What other organizations deserve to have subpoena power and deserve to have a fully operational investigative team, even like the NCAA does? I mean, so what's too much to give these things? I mean, again, it's a member institution that's created by these schools to police each other. At a certain point, are we going way over our skis when we start to give these, them ability to investigate into certain areas that maybe they shouldn't be able to? So there's a lot there. There's so much theory involved in what should there be, but so frequently, yes, the fact that they don't have these powers means that you get a certain amount of unfairness. There are definitely schools that are cheating and getting away with it because you can't look into certain things as the NCAA, as a non-governmental organization as they are. They don't have the opportunity to look in people's bank records and like, look at their phone records. I mean, that's a thing that they're not allowed to do as long as those things aren't public property. So it's a very odd thing to view it, and how fans deal with it and how they process it. But at the end of the day, there's certain things the NCAA is not allowed to do because of the organization they are.
Absolutely. Been another thing that's come up recently. There's a guy running for the Board of Trustees for Indiana, is Brian Davidson. And part of the platform that he's running on is the fact that so much of the BTN money, the Big Ten Network money that IU Athletics has earned, has been taken and earmarked to things away from athletics. Over $60 million that has been come up with so far. I think Jeff Rabjohns came up with that number. But that's a ton of money, and it's believed to be far away more than any other school in the conference. Don't know that for sure yet. I think a lot of people are working on that. But that's an odd thing to see so much money being taken out of an athletics program, especially one like Indiana that's not exactly the biggest school in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'll be honest. I haven't followed this particular story that close enough. I've heard of what you're talking about, but I haven't necessarily dug into that. I mean, when it comes back to, like, finances are obviously interesting when it comes to colleges and college athletics. One thing, money's fungible. That's obviously one piece of it is when you have a big pool of money, it can move around. Technically, it's almost like fluid. So it's like, okay, well, technically you might be using this to build it now when, the university used money this far back to help out the athletic department, et cetera. Basically, like, all of this moves back and forth. Our debts paid off between those two things. Again, it's the total institution. So yeah, I mean, like, obviously a major issue for Indiana is the fact that it has generally not been a very well funded athletic department in comparison to the rest of the Big Ten. When you have schools like Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State that have these $100 million a year budgets, Indiana generally hasn't been on that par. And obviously the Big Ten Network has definitely helped a lot, basically for all the schools to be allowed to get those, those programs to invest. So I'm not exactly sure what's been paid for, where, in terms of, I don't even understand. I'm not even totally certain what the agreements are as far as, whether or not some of that money was required to be earmarked for university projects that were non-athletic. So that's kind of an interesting question. I mean, I haven't really broken down Indiana's books at this point, and it is very complicated. I mean, I would just caution anybody that's reading into this, okay, well, if that money moves over, it's as simple as that the university stole $60 million from athletics. It's not that simple, and especially over time, you have a lot of money moving back and forth, and there are times when the university has had to take care of the athletic department. As far as I know, through most recent years, that hasn't been the case. The athletic department has been self-sufficient, and I don't think they necessarily owed the university any money. But over time, these things, I wouldn't go so far as to say as they even out, but a lot of money moves back and forth between the university at large and the athletic department. So there's a lot of pieces, I would say. I mean, I haven't written anything on that. I haven't looked into it enough, but I would say there's a lot to be looked into, and I would be a little bit suspicious of a bottom line figure there.
Absolutely. Working on anything currently coming out on The Athletic, Dustin?
Yeah, I got a couple pieces working on some stuff on Purdue's recruits. You know, I know that's not something anybody in Southern Indiana wants to hear too much about, but we'll write a little about those guys. And we're also working on some stuff on, draft fits for some of the players, coming up in this draft. And you wrote a little bit about Romeo Langford. That'll be coming out at some point in time this week, I think, just in terms of teams that might be good fits for him. Carson Edwards as well. So a little bit slow at this point in time, but, we'll pick back up.
Yeah, the draft next week, man. We'll see. Everyone's wondering where Romeo is going. Is he going to fall down out of the top 20, or is he going to move up? That all comes to a head next week.
Yep, no, definitely. I mean, I think you could see him anywhere, I think, from the end of the lottery to about 2021. I don't think he's going to fall too far. You're not going to see him out of the top 20. Definitely not out of the top 25, I wouldn't think. I think he's still looked at pretty fondly by a lot of teams. Obviously, I think certainly they saw some flaws in him this year in terms of his shooting and even some of his motor on defense. But I do think that teams still like just the degree to which he can score the basketball.
Absolutely. Dustin Pierick from The Athletic, I can't thank you enough. We appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Thanks as always, Jim.
You betcha. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club of the Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number. alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Cole.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Poyle, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you had a great weekend. Time to get the week off to a good start. Trying to get it headed in that direction. You know, draft day is coming in 2 days. No, 3 days. Thursday. CBS Sports out with their final mock draft. Romeo Langford at 12th to Charlotte. That would reunite him with former Hoosier Cody Zeller. That's a bit of a change. So the up and down roller coaster projections for Romeo will end regardless on Thursday. As that's latest report shows that he is seemingly repaired a lot of the damage done by the season and a little postseason chatter, mainly in regards to his shooting. 12th is a pretty solid spot, well within the lottery pick. Regardless, it makes him a multimillionaire in 3 days. In 3 days, he'll sign a contract worth more money than you, me, and your brother will make in a lifetime. Unless you have a rich brother.
I don't.
I don't.
Is he ready for that?
Is Romeo ready to be rich?
You think he's ready for all that money and playing basketball 24/7? And
well, but who is at 18, 19? But what do? Say no thank you?
I was being facetious.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. There's so many people that keep the response, which I haven't seen it as much lately, but it only comes from IU fans, is he's not ready. He needs another year. He's not ready. And I can just keep asking the same simple question. Well, what is he not ready for? To be rich? To not have to go to class and to only work on basketball? To be trained by the best coaches in the world? What is he not exactly ready for? Would another year of college helped him personally? Of course it would have. Hell, it helps any of us. But that's just not how it works anymore. At least not for right now. At least another year of this one and done business. Because the rule can't change until it's an NBA rule, first of all, this one and done business. And it's a Players Association agreement that has to be altered that would allow players in, which that assuredly is going to happen. But it can't take place until the next agreement, which I think comes up in 2021. So we're looking at 2022, I think, being the first year that the one and done can be wiped out. So you got another couple of years of this stuff. So college basketball is not going to change yet. But I think a lot of coaches, while they want that top talent, It's been proven that the one and done route is not the way to go to win a championship. So if you're trying to win a championship, the one and done route has been proven not to work. So if you continue to do that, well, I don't know what to say, but other teams, and it seems like Archie Miller at Indiana, have kind of altered their philosophy. Obviously, he's looking at a lot of the in-state kids for next season after going 0 for 20 on recruits from outside of 60 miles away from Bloomington this past season. A lot of kids were in Bloomington over the weekend. They'd either hold IU offers or will soon. But Anthony Leal is in action. Christian Lander from Wrights High School. Caleb First. Luke Goody. Got to see a lot of good basketball over the weekend. Man, I can't. Christian Lander, I can't believe this dude's got 2 more stinking years in high school. I'll talk about this earlier. He's quick. He's got a kid on his team. Deasy, I think. That 6'6" dude is. Wrights is going to be tough this season. If that guy can knock down threes and Christian Lander is splitting the defense and hitting shots as well, they're going to be tough. Anthony Leal. I tell you, I got to look up this kid that plays with Luke Goody. He really stood out in the camp, but he's playing a position. He stood out because of the things he was able to do under the basket, but those are not things he could do in college. He's a battler, but he sure stood out at the camp. But like I said, he's like 6'3". Can't do that stuff in college. Dawson Garcia, who also holds an IU offer, was in action. The NBA Players Association Top 100 camp that went on in Charlottesville, Virginia over the weekend. He averaged 12 points, 8 boards, was 7 of 19 from behind the three-point line. Of course, he holds an offer from a lot of different schools. We'll talk about him more in the next hour as well. Stu Jackson's on the show today from Rivals. Stu was out on the IU campus over the weekend as well. Saw Stu out there as the team, Archie Miller team camp, came to a close for the year. Bloomington South. Let's see. I'm trying to think of all the teams. Homestead. Wrights. Let's see. Where's Luke Caleb First team from up in Fort Wayne. Drawing a blank on his team name, but there were several. There was like 8. There was a team from Chicago that was down. Pretty cool experience, I'm telling you. If those players, especially the ones that aren't going to get to go to this next level, you're getting to play in Assembly Hall under the bright lights. Even playing in the Cook Hall facility is pretty cool. With all the IU banners hanging around. But especially for the kids that aren't going to get to go to that next level, pretty cool experience, man. But there was some good basketball to watch. Some definite good talent that Archie Miller has turned his sights towards for next season. Looks to be a solid core of Indiana talent to base on. So we've got a lot more coming up on the program. Like I said, Stu Jackson from Rivals will join us. We'll talk more about the action over the weekend. The draft day is coming on Thursday. Romeo's moved up in the latest and final CBS Sports Final mock draft. Plenty to talk about there as well. Stay tuned. We've got plenty more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Back with more right after this.
And I'll forget about these feet of mine. I got to keep on walking. Hey, I got to walk on. Let me tell you, y'all, I'm so tired.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jet airliner.
come on along and welcome aboard to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle coming to you as always. Welcome in. Hope you had a great weekend. Ready to get your week off to a great start. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Plenty of things went on over the weekend. A lot of basketball up in Bloomington as Archie Miller held his final team camps of the summer, I should say. An opportunity for high schools to play games in front of the IU staff in the IU facilities. Very popular. Obviously, the second weekend in a row they were doing that. A lot of IU recruits in action. Anthony Leal, Christian Lander, Caleb First, Luke Goody, among others. A lot of talent to get to see. Anthony Leal continues to look solid. Christian Lander continues to look above his game, above his age, is what I should say, what I mean to say. Man, that dude is, when he gets it together, I'm going to sneeze, so excuse me. Couldn't stop that one. But when Christian Lander gets it together, and by that what I mean is continues to add experience, man, he's going to be – he's already in the top 15 for his 2021 class. I can see him being a top 5 recruit. No doubt that potential is there. And I'm not going to say I'd be surprised if he wasn't, but dude looks really good. Really good. You know, to talk about surprises, you know, in the offseason, who's improving? Who's the most improved on this IU basketball team? You've got some newcomers coming in, so they really don't count. You can't count Armand Franklin or Trace Jackson. You could count Joey Brunk. And but the word I'm hearing, Demezy Anderson has improved so much that he's a potential starter next year. How about that for a surprising turnaround? Very inconsistent play from Demezy last year. He was brought in as hope to be a cure for the shooting woes. That didn't really come to be, but it really wasn't allowed to flow much either because of his defensive lapses, basically. But word is, Demezy's been working hard because Demezy is greatly improved. That would be a huge boost to Indiana because of the uncertainty of Jerome Hunter. And that continues to be a completely unknown proposition to the point to where you need to forget about Jerome Hunter. If you're a fan, forget about Jerome Hunter playing for Indiana right now. I mean, I hope that it happens for him, for Indiana's sake. I'm not wishing it will on it. I'm just saying you might as well just forget about it because right now the odds don't look good in my estimation. But you can't count on it anyway, so don't. You've got to move forward with what you have. And they've got a lot of scoring to replace with Romeo Langford and Juwan Morgan moving on. And speaking of Romeo, draft day's Thursday. CBS Sports came out with their final mock draft. Romeo's up to 12th now. Man, he's bounced around like a ping pong ball. Started the season as a top 5 projected pick after a poor season Poor shooting season. He dropped. I think CBS had him at 22 at one point. But after having surgery on his hand and making the rounds, doing all the PR repair business, his agent getting a lot of stuff out, Romeo making the rounds with the media, talking about that he's not shy, that he's an alpha, changing some people's minds. CBS Sports now has him as number 12. That would put him at Charlotte alongside former Hoosier Cody Zeller. But within the lottery. Either way, Romeo's going to be a wealthy young man in a couple of days. He's going to be a wealthy, wealthy man. But he's just a boy, actually. Just a kid. As they all are. Jake, you asked earlier, is he ready for all that? I know you were being facetious, but that is the one thing that stop and think what you were like when you were 18, if you can actually remember that. I can well enough to know that if you had given me $20 million when I was 18, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I'd be dead. Probably. I wasn't mature enough to handle that. But today's society is different. Kids mature earlier. But yeah, that would have been, I can't imagine a scenario of me at 18 with $20 million. I'm just throwing that number out there because it's going to be at least that. But can you imagine? I mean, level-headed, mature kids are level-headed and mature. I was not that at 18, I can assure you. What would you have done with $20 million at 18, Jake?
Probably spend it all. I mean, I can't imagine at 18 even getting something like $10,000 all at once. I mean, I would just blow through it. I mean, not even on, and it would be like stupid stuff like cars or just
bubble gum.
Yeah, bubble gum or whatever. I mean, it's just going from having no financial responsibility to a complete 180 is, I mean, it's a different transition. And the good thing about, I mean, you don't really hear as much about athletes blowing their money away or anything like that anymore, especially within the younger group. I think the NBA and really all major league sports have tried to teach financial literacy a little bit more. I think they've made that a main part of their rookie programs because all these guys will go through rookie training and how to be a pro and all that type of stuff. So I think that's a pretty big emphasis on how to maintain their wealth and how to spend wisely, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good point, Jake. They do. Those professional organizations have, because they've seen the perils that befall the hangers on, the posses, so to speak, how they can get, and all the agents, first of all, have to be approved by whatever organization that they're in. These agents are certified agents. So that helps, number one. That kind of tries to prevent a little fly-by-night. I saw Zion Williamson is already having some contract issues. He had signed a marketing contract with someone, and now he's trying to break that. So he'll get his first dose in the legalities of being a professional here very, very soon. But, yeah, it's so much money. And there's just so many things that can go wrong, and the people coming at you, trying to help you spend that money. But I'd have sure liked to take a shot at it, I promise you. I may not have done very well at it, but I'd have sure taken a shot at it. Stu Jackson's on the show today from Rivals. We're going to talk about the basketball that took place over the weekend at Assembly Hall and Cook Hall. You know, I was talking about Christian Lander earlier. Man, he's so... To me, he looks ahead of his age group by far. He looked like he was a senior out there. Or like I said earlier, he could play in college right now. He is physically ready. Now, does he need to make some improvements? Sure. But he just came off of his sophomore year in high school. He's having a lot of things thrown at him. Things are moving fast. Move up to a very high level very quickly. The NBA Players Association Top 100 Camp went on over the weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia. Hassan Diarra was playing in there. That's an IU offer. He's a 6'2" point guard out of New York, a 4-star. Dawson Garcia, another 4-star. He's a 6'11" power forward from Minnesota. Actually had one of the better weekends. He averaged around 12 points, 8 rebounds, and was 7 of 19 from behind the three-point line. That's a big man, 6'10", shooting long range. He's out of that same Minnesota pipeline that Race Thompson comes from. Coach Tom Ostrom on the Indiana staff with a connection there. But the attention has been turned back towards Indiana for players next year. You know, we talk about Leo and Lander and First and Goody and all these guys. The Goody's, I think he's 2021 anyway, as is First and Lander. But for 2020, you talk about Leo and Galloway and Cross. And then there's some national guys, Stewart and Davis. Cross from Massachusetts, of course. You got Caleb Love out of St. Louis. So there's a big mix. I mean, this year he's getting Armand Franklin and Trace Jackson Davis. And Joey Brunk, for that matter. I mean, Joey Brunk is not a part of the recruiting class, although a lot of people keep including it. It's not. He's a transfer, but he's also an Indiana kid. So you got 3 Indiana kids coming in regardless. And I mention that only because I've said it before. If you get the best of Indiana, you're going to be pretty good at worst. Because you're going to have a foundation that is built on solid talent. Because the best this state has to offer year in, year out is at the very minimum more than solid. You virtually always have at least a 5-star. And a plethora of 4-stars. And there are a ton of 4-stars next season. The next 2 seasons, recruiting, well, they're always good. But that 2021 class may be kind of special. From an Indiana standpoint. Hey, Stu Jackson from Rivals is on the show today. We're going to talk about a lot more of this with him as well. IU football, it's, I think, 78 days till kickoff, something like that? They're still out and about it, getting it. The U.S. Open happened over the weekend. Talking about add money to your bank account earlier. How about Gary Woodland? $2.25 million. Thank you very much. We got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more right after this.
Hello,
everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle with you, as it always. Hope your weekend was good. Time to start the new week. Unfortunately, the rain has followed us, I believe. Very rainy spring, man. I was coming back from having an awesome day with Kylie yesterday, Father's Day. She bought me dinner. It was awesome. But it's on I-69, man. A lot of wet fields underwater. A lot of water on the ground. Yeah, I mentioned Hassan Diarra earlier. He was also in action at the NBA Players Association Top 100 camp. But Georgia is one of the teams pursuing DR in addition to Indiana. So you've got a Tom Crean, Indiana connection there. We'll see how that turns out. But I spoke earlier about Demezie Anderson. That could be, if he's able to offer some very quality minutes, that would be huge for Indiana. It's not an expectation as of yet, but he's going to be a sophomore who got enough playing time that it's time to move it up. It's time to expect things from him or anybody else in his position. But the word is, he's really, really worked his tail off. He came in as a hot shooting prospect. Kind of last year in the freshman season for Demezie was more of a deer in the headlights look kind of a deal. Which, no shame in that, man. But word is, he could be potentially starting for Indiana this year. And again, that would be huge, especially when you're looking at potentially not having Jerome Hunter. And I say that you need to forget about Jerome Hunter. As far as expecting him, I mean. Don't expect him to be there, to be able to play. It would be sad for him. I hope that's not the case, but it would certainly be a big bonus if Demezie Anderson can step up, can start knocking down some shots, contributing, because that would be a little bit of a surprise going into this season. You got the addition of Armaan Franklin. And I expect a very much improved Devontae Green. I really believe that Devontae Green is going to take his leadership role very seriously. He just watched his brother win an NBA championship. You know he has aspirations of playing at that level. So he needs to have a good season. And that includes being a good teammate. I'm not saying that he hasn't been. Just saying. Part of having a good season, being a good teammate, helping your team win. That goes a long way. And projecting your status to that next level. Al Durham, Rob Phinisee. I expect those guys to be greatly improved as well. Rob Phinisee just coming along. Was doing great last year, as a matter of fact, until the concussion kind of sidetracked him, and it just took him a while to get back. That set Indiana back. There's a lot of things that set Indiana back last year, so we don't need to regurgitate all that. But Al Durham with another year under his belt. Coming in as a junior, Al Durham needs to step up. It's time for Al Durham to step up. He's played okay. It's time for these guys to step up a level now. For Indiana to get better, your players have got to get better. I think Trace Jackson Davis is going to be an impact player. But one of the funny, odd things also is potentially Trace Jackson at the 5. There was talk of that over the weekend. Instead of the 4, which I would think Deron Davis would be at the 5. But it's hard to tell in Archie's offense anyway for me. His offense does not really seem to have a 5 role. It's more of a 3 guard and a couple athletic forwards. But if you can get a 6'10", 6'11" guy that can shoot 3-point shots as well, makes your team a dangerous team. Not saying that they have that next year. But what will Joey Brunk bring to this team? I mean, you're going to be missing some bulk with Juwan Morgan, and Joey Brunk obviously fits right in there. But him and Deron Davis are kind of playing that same position. Can Deron Davis stay healthy? That's a $64,000 question. Hopefully so. I love Deron's game. Love Deron's heart. He doesn't seem to get rattled. Still wish he'd hit that shot against Arkansas last year. I'm sure he does too. But I think that after last year, a lot of people hopefully will temper their expectations. Shooting is still a situation with Indiana. Until it's been shown that it's been taken care of, it's a situation. And it's a situation that they did not handle well last year. Obviously, they did not shoot the ball well from outside the three-point line. Now the three-point line has been moved back. How's that going to affect Indiana? Will it have any effect? Justin Smith. Not been a lot said about him because there's not a lot known, really. We're not privy to the comings and goings of what's going on behind the scenes. You hear things here and there. I haven't heard a lot about Justin. I know that last year a lot was made with his abilities in the training room with Coach Cliff Marshall, but that didn't really translate onto the court. We'll see how that goes this year, if they temper that or how that goes about. But there's another. You've got Justin Smith, you've got Trace Jackson, you've got Joey Brunk. That you'll be working into that rotation. You lose two big guys with Cliff Moore and Jake Forrester. How's Trace Jackson going to be as a freshman? How long is it going to take for him to adapt? He's been working out a long time with Joey Brunk. I think he's going to be a lot further ahead of the game than some people realize. But it's not just the game itself. There's so many aspects to moving up to the college game. The speed of the game, the strength of the game, the intensity of the game, the crowds at the game. Everything is bigger. Everything is faster. Everything is stronger. Everybody is faster. Everybody is stronger. You play more games. You've got a lot more stress on you. You've got a lot more demands. That's another thing that for freshmen people don't, they forget to think about a lot. There's a lot more that's going on for them than just increasing the level at which they're playing basketball. It's kind of a lifestyle change. Not kind of, it is. It's a lifestyle change. It's basically like having a job. And it takes freshmen a little bit to get acclimated to that sometimes. But it depends on the maturity level. Unfortunately for Indiana, Armaan Franklin and Trace Jackson Davis both seem to be more than capable of seamlessly handling the transition. Both were out working the camps over the weekend. I saw Armaan and Trace in Assembly Hall working the scores table. Jerome Hunter was there. Deron Davis was there. I saw Rob Finnessy. Those are the only ones I personally saw that I remember. The entire IU coaching staff was there. Archie Miller, Tom Ostrom, Ed Schilling, Bruiser Flint. All in attendance. Watching a lot of IU prospects that if Indiana can land these guys, the Indiana guys that they're chasing, will be a great foundation to a very good recruiting class next year. And I think that they're well on their way to doing that. I think they're a year behind, personally, in this recruiting cycle of doing this, but that's okay. It is what it is, and they are where they are. But it seems to be heading in the right direction. We'll certainly find out. Hey, we've got plenty more coming up. Stu Jackson from Rivals is going to join us next. We'll talk about the action that took place over the weekend. All that and plenty more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle back with more right after this.
It's a 1, 2, 3. Take my hand and come with me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number. alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
I like it like that. Whoa, yeah.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you as always, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, joined now by our good friend Stu Jackson from Rivals. Stu, how are you doing, brother?
Jim, I'm doing excellent this morning. How about yourself?
Good, man. It's a busy weekend over the weekend for IU basketball. A lot of recruits in town. They're playing elsewhere at the NBA Players Association as well. But in Bloomington, man, there was a lot of basketball going on.
Oh, yeah. It was the second and final team camp for Archie Miller that took place on Saturday, and then at least locally. And then, like you said, in Virginia, you had the NBPA Top 100 camp going on. But especially here locally, if you were in attendance in any capacity during the day on Saturday, you had a chance to see some of the top in-state prospects in the 2021 class. So, yeah, very busy day and a very, very eventful day on Saturday as well.
Yeah, and you're at all these events as well. And I asked Archie Saturday how invaluable these camps are now, especially with all the changes in the NCAA recruiting. I mean, it's a great tool to get all these kids on campus at one time, let them see the facilities, get to play in the facilities. Everything was wide open. That's a great recruiting tool.
No question. Even though, it's not the full, visit experience, so to speak, or anything like that. The fact that, if you're a kid who, grew up, watching Indiana, or even if, you've got a scholarship offer from Indiana and you have the chance to play on Branch McCracken Court with, your high school team, there's something special to be said about that, and it probably makes for a really unique experience. So, yeah, between that and also just getting the chance to play some of the top competition in the state as well, and some of the best teams in the state, it's a win-win all around for everybody involved.
Over the weekend, of course, a lot of guys Indiana's looking at were in Bloomington: Anthony Leal, Christian Lander, Caleb Furst, Luke Goody, among some others as well. But a lot of good talent in there at one time for them to not only see play against each other. It was some really solid basketball, Stu, and it's a lot of talent on that floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian Lander, should have, a national level recruitment before too long, if it isn't considered that already. In my opinion, probably the fastest point guard in the country. Just unbelievable, his change of direction and just how quickly he gets up and down the floor, and his playmaking ability and athleticism, all those sorts of things. He's obviously a huge IU target in the 2021 class. And then, Caleb Furst out of, Blackhawk Christian in Fort Wayne. He's been playing with Spiece Indy Heat on the AAU circuit this spring, or the Nike circuit this spring, excuse me. He's somebody who's very skilled and can run the floor well, and really fits the mold of, the type of big men they're trying to recruit into their program. So, also got obviously Anthony Leal too. I mean, I think everybody's well familiar with him by this point. Bloomington South kid who, is a nationally ranked prospect as well. I thought he shot the ball really well on Saturday, and is certainly improving. I was talking to his mom last week, and he was saying she was saying, excuse me, that he is dealing with, a little bit of knee pain in his left knee, but it's nothing too major. But it's, if you watch them at all in any capacity, whether it's, at one of these public Adidas events or, even if you stop by the team camp, maybe you saw some things that are like, well, why is, he playing that way? And, that's maybe affecting his ability to, jump like he wants to and things like that. So anyway, that's a long-winded overview of just a few of the guys that stood out. There's obviously a lot of other talent around there as well, but those are the ones of IU interest, at least, that the fans are going to be paying closest attention to.
Yeah, Anthony Leal, I don't know that he's going to become an NBA prospect, but he certainly has the looks of a really good college player in the making. He kind of reminds me, I don't know why I think Verdell Jones, but just a nice, long, lanky guard that can do a lot of different things.
Yeah, he's outstanding. Great kid, really, really smart. Being recruited by Stanford as well. Somebody who, can play a, terrific defense and also has the capability of, being able to knock down perimeter shots. Now, I obviously think he could be more than a 3-and-D type of player, because he has the work ethic to certainly go beyond that. But that's just, at least the first impression I've had since, I've had the chance to watch him, over the last couple of years in his high school career.
And you mentioned Christian Lander. Man, if you watch him and don't come away impressed, I don't know what you're watching, because, golly, I was talking about him earlier, Stu. He's so fast, and he's got 2 more years of high school left, man. He could easily become a top 5 pick by the time he's a senior. Yeah,
it's fascinating to watch him play. I mean, like you said, just incredibly fast. 2 weeks ago when I was at the Adidas regional qualifier over Memorial Day weekend in Chicago, I mean, he was catching alley-oops on fast breaks, like, meaning he was on the receiving end of them, which you don't, for a guy of his size and stature, you do not see that all that often. I mean, that's very rare. So, he's an exceptionally gifted athlete and somebody that, if you're a college basketball fan, you can't wait to see where he ends up and how he fits into, whatever system or whatever school he eventually chooses.
Yeah, you mentioned his recruitment becoming national. I think it's probably definitely already there. There's no way that he's not on a lot of people's radars, especially at that vaulted spot of the point guard, which Archie has really had a little bit of difficulty of filling that role since Ralph Finney's coming here, finding a backup for him, which I know is a key point of emphasis for this staff.
Yeah, well, and if you look at the roster makeup too, heading into the upcoming season at least, you've got a true point guard in Rob Finney, but elsewhere, you basically got mainly combo guard type of guys with, guys like Devontae Green and Al Durham Jr. and Armand Franklin, coming in, just to name a few. But, if you can get a true point guard, to come in and, bridge that gap or balance the roster out, whether that's in the 2020 or 2021 classes or even both, that would certainly help quite a bit.
And we've got a lot of time to go yet, but of course, the big question surrounds Jerome Hunter and whether he'll be able to play next year because of the leg condition that he's dealing with right now. And if he can, that would be such a huge boost to this team, because I think right now you have to go forward thinking that he's not going to be there. And if he is, that's just a great bonus. But, man, what an addition that would make to this roster.
Yeah, I mean, he was the second highest rated signee in the 2018 class behind Romeo, obviously, which, I'm sure, depending on, who you talk to, some people, may disagree with rankings or, the impact at least of them and whether that translates to, the kind of player they'll be in college. But, the fact of the matter is, he's a 6'8", wing who could play the 2, the 3, or the 4. Can score at all levels, and probably would have solved at least a couple of the issues that Indiana was having last year when it came to perimeter scoring and things like that. So, and then with Romeo, moving on to the NBA, of course, there's a huge role there to be filled. One that I think he can fill capably if he ends up being healthy enough to play this upcoming season.
And another little bit of tidbit that's kind of floating around, at least amongst the media, is Demezie Anderson's greatly improved since in the off season, and that he's a potential starter for next year.
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. I mean, perhaps he sees some time at, I don't know, the 3 or the 4, maybe, just kind of depending on how he develops. Now, this is all being said with, skill development workouts going on and things like that. And while they are maybe they are doing some kind of, 5-on-5 work during these summer workouts and whatnot. You've got to take it with a grain of salt because it's obviously different once it's, even in an exhibition game when it's, live game action and things like that. And obviously once you get to some of the other non-conference games. But that being said, given that, his transition, maybe it took a little bit longer, his acclimation process was a little bit different than some of the other freshmen or newcomers on last year's roster. You still take any encouraging signs you can get or hear, especially, for a guy like him.
Last year, with last year in the rearview mirror, but the injury is such a huge problem for them. Only 10 scholarship players known to be available going into this season. That's got to be a great concern to this staff.
Yeah, I mean, as much as Archie preaches roster flexibility and wanting to have kind of a tighter rotation, so to speak, it is tough to be able to only have 10 at your disposal, at least right now. Now you can still, and this is something Archie obviously talked about at the On the Road with the Hoosiers event at Huber's last month. There's IU has the capability to play, different lineups or employ different lineups, whether it's bigger with playing guys like Duran and Joey or Duran and Trace on the floor at the same time, or going smaller and maybe putting someone like Justin at the 4, Demezie at the 4, or whatever it would be. That's still you never want to be in a situation, I think, where it's down to just 10. So while they'll have while they have 11 total scholarship players, like you said, 10 available currently. And that'll give them some added flexibility in recruiting. When it comes to the on-court product, it's certainly going to, probably factor in and be interesting to watch here as they try to figure out, what lineups click and also just how to, kind of navigate this upcoming season.
Absolutely. And of course, as they go through the summer now, it's going to be kind of quiet. There won't be a lot of information coming out. Attention turns back to recruiting for what it never turns away from, I guess, but on getting some guys on campus and any possibilities that you see this 2019 class adding anybody else. I know there was the Canadian kid, but just there's not a lot of scuttlebutt out there.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't expect them to. It's just like you said. I mean, at this point, the grad transfer market is pretty much, I don't want to say emptied out, but maybe picked over. And if guys who intended on, transferring and using their final year of college eligibility elsewhere, haven't already done so or haven't already found a place, then. At this point, it's you're probably what you have is what you have as far as the roster is concerned. It would be shocking to me if, again, going back to Archie's comments at Huber's last month, if if there was an impact level decision or an impact level guy that somehow became available. The example that this isn't necessarily a grad transfer, but just in general, talking about additions to the 2019 class. I mean, people thought, oh, well, why doesn't IU give Jalen Wilson a look? The kid who reopened his recruitment from Michigan and was a top 50 or top 60 prospect. Well, that, it's very rare that happens. And so, at this point, I think the roster is pretty much set, and it would be very surprising to me if Indiana made a late addition as far as, even a grad transfer goes heading into the season, especially if workouts already getting underway.
Archie hasn't had a lot of luck on the national scene recruiting at Indiana, basically going 0 for 20 for guys outside of 60 miles away from campus. But what's it going to take for them to overcome that and to start getting a couple of those national guys in to blend in with the homegrown talent?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to winning. It seems silly and like such a simple answer, but it's the truth. If you're not playing deep into March, and if you're not in the NCAA tournament, and providing or getting all the the exposure that comes with it that players obviously want, it's tough to pick that school. Now, they can still see if the players are smart enough, the things that Indiana's doing well as far as scheme and system and all of that, and what they're running and how they would fit into it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to winning basketball games, and also just being in a position where you're playing meaningful basketball in the spring, and you're getting to the NCAA tournament regularly.
Stu, what are you working on over at the Rivals?
Just getting set for there'll be a NBPA, or not NBPA. I'm getting all my camps mixed up. There will be a top 100 camp for in-state players for Indiana. That is on Saturday at Ben Davis. So just getting ready for that. And this time of the year, we're also just focusing on getting all of our content pulled together for our annual basketball preview magazine. So. And then after that, or I guess beyond that, it's just kind of preparing for, the other, evaluation periods and events and tournaments and things like that. Obviously, there'll be the Adidas Summer Championships in mid-July, as well as Peach Jam for Nike, which is their equivalent of a summer, finale type of event or whatever. So, kind of a slow time right now, but it'll pick back up here before we know it.
Yeah, speaking of the Peach Jam, what do you think those events are going to be like this year without the coaches' involvement?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's this whole year really has just been so different with how the evaluation periods have been rearranged, or in the case of the spring, reduced, because they only had one evaluation period in the spring. But I'm sure that that's going to play a bigger role in some of the evaluation periods that are taking place in June, and also just trying to figure out if any of these teams that make it to Peach Jam or the Adidas Summer Championships are also going to be playing in Las Vegas later in the month, and then you also throw in the regional camps as well. I mean, this is all tying back into obviously not the coaches not being able to be there or anything like that, but it just makes it that much more challenging, because that's a high level of competition, obviously, and with a lot of these events, I mean, or these regional camps especially, I mean, if the goal is to try to serve the coaches and things like that, and help these kids get exposure, but I mean, it's not really helping either party if you've got AAU teams that are telling their kids, like, no, you're not going to be doing these camps. You're playing for us, and you're going to stay loyal to us or whatever. Which, I totally get that. I'm not criticizing that approach. I'm just saying, that these are all kinds of things that are, factoring into it, and just like sort of adding to the strangeness of, not seeing the coaches there, basically.
Stu Jackson from the Rivals, Indiana Rivals. I can't thank you enough, man. I appreciate you as always. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Stu Jackson from Indiana Rivals. That's going to wrap it up for us at the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Plenty back tomorrow. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will be on with us as well. So thanks a lot to Jake, keeping us on the track. I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.